know. I said not too long ago that to me, Michael Myers is an epic failure. The fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is still alive after 30 years, obviously Michael Myers is doing something wrong, and Jamie Lee Curtis as well. Anyway, figured we break up a little bit of the monotony with the wrestling shirts tonight. What's up, everyone? It is Friday night, July 24th, 2020. I am back. Don Tony Show. Want to thank you all for tuning in. Pardon my appearance in the background. You might notice a couple of pictures missing. I know some heads are cut off. You know, it's interesting. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone with my postman. Shaheen Nuclear Heat Graphics sent me a bunch of artwork. AJ Moore sent me a bunch of artwork. I got his stuff, but I didn't get Shaheen's. It was supposed to be delivered Thursday. It was supposed to be delivered today. I got nothing. I ordered something else online. It was supposed to be delivered yesterday. It was supposed to be delivered today. Nothing. I have a prize for next Wednesday's Wednesday Night Dynamite. Supposed to be delivered today. Nothing. I go to the post office. I say, you know, it says that it arrived in Howard Beach. My post office. Where's my stuff? And it's kind of like giving me the runaround and telling me like, oh, it's probably still at the main location and it hasn't been scanned. I said, well, then explain to me why it says received at my post office. They couldn't give me an answer. Tonight, Pro Wrestling Crate. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Pro Wrestling Crate. They put a little announcement up on Twitter that there is delays with the post office for New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, son of a bitch. The post office is all screwed up right now. Everything is delayed. So I was so excited to change the backdrop. It's going to be wrestling, pop culture, couple other things involved. You really can't see, you know, I just put up some quick stuff just to have a little bit of a backdrop, but yeah, we're gonna have to live with it tonight. Now, later on in this show, we're gonna have a little trivia contest. Hey, if you don't want it, don't partake in it. But, you know, a lot of people have always been asking me, hey, you know, why don't you give away some of these bobbleheads, you know, and they're ceramic. See, I don't want to poke like the cigar because it may actually break it, but this is actually 100% ceramic. And I forgot I have a bunch of them. So tonight, someone that wants one of these will get it in its nice little cute little box with styrofoam. And I don't care if you live 5 blocks away from me or 5 million miles away from me. You want it, you win it, you're entitled to it. Do whatever you want. Post a video of you breaking it into a million pieces. I don't care. You're entitled to it. Shove it up your ass for all I care. Check this out, everybody. Last Friday, we had a disaster on YouTube. I know everybody loved the 3-hour show, but YouTube took 5 to 6 days to put that extra hour up there. This is why all the shows from now on have to go 2 hours at maximum. Jesus. Wednesday, I went 90 seconds over. And there's still people telling me that they can't see the first 90 seconds of the show. So from now on, the shows are going to be 2 hours or less. Going to be adding a Tuesday show in the very near future. Just trying to iron out as far as what I wanted to cover. Maybe it'll be Q&A. Maybe it'll be a few other things. Some of you asked me, will it cover Impact Wrestling? That'll be covered on Wednesday. The reason why I don't cover Impact, or I won't do it on Tuesday, is, you know, I don't even know what time the Tuesday show is going to start. But that's in development. So I'd rather put an extra show on here a week, even if it's pre-recorded, and spread it out a little bit more. But we will get into the history show later tonight, and I'm going to tweak it for this week. You let me know if you like the tweak or if you want me to go back to what I was doing before. What I decided to do is I decided to take a bunch of highlights from this week in wrestling history, put it in the photo form like you just saw, like this little grid, and we only get into those tonight. You know, anything that doesn't make the cut, oh well, you know, go search out and check out the other things that happen in pro wrestling history. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to cover SmackDown tonight. We're going to talk about the incident with Pat McAfee and Adam Cole that everybody's talking about. You know, I got kind of a difference of opinion on there. And I will tell everybody this, right up, straight up. I know all of you out there know about AJ Styles calling Paul Heyman a bold-faced liar. Didn't want to work with him. That's why he went to SmackDown. Gallows and Anderson calling Paul Heyman a bold-faced liar and, you know, explaining that they were told they were going to be doing this and they were going to be doing that and they would have this and have that. And I said Wednesday as a little teaser that I was going to come up here tonight and defend Paul Heyman with this. Now, I'm not trying to bite off of instant replay with the NFL, but after looking into this a little bit further, really paying attention to what Gallows and Anderson and AJ Styles had to say, and also thinking back to Paul Heyman, 90s Paul Heyman, after further review, the play is reversed. I cannot defend Paul Heyman in this one. I will tell everybody this, and we'll move on. We'll talk about SmackDown. We just got that bar fight. Now I know why it wasn't on the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. You knew. You had to have known. They put the hat. Oh, you know what? Mother, son of a... I'm mad. I wanted to open up the show with a glass. And what was that guy's name? Jeeves? Jeeves? Let's pretend this is a glass. I just wanted to sit here and do this. Was that getting annoying to you at the beginning of SmackDown? I mean, that's all he was doing for about 30 seconds, wiping the same glass. Why? And did anybody look closely at his hands? His hands look like wax, like a wax figure. I don't know what that guy is, if it's fake tan or suntan, or he's putting cover up on his hands, or I don't know, maybe he's on the floor with his knuckles, if you know what I mean. But man, that bartender, Jeeves, it was more like Skeeves. Jeeves, ask Jeeves. Remember that? Ask Jeeves. I used to ask Jeeves for a lot of things, and for some reason he could never grant my requests. Nothing illegal. But I would ask him things that I couldn't find on Yahoo and Google and Alta Vista, if anybody remembers that. Alta Vista, baby. But that bar fight, you know, they put the hat over Jeff Hardy's face. I think everybody out there knew we were going to get makeup. I just thought, is there any possibility that when they reveal the hat, it's Willow and he's going, hee, 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 hee. But, we'll talk about that after. We'll talk about it. Yeah, Elijah XG's for a title shot. By the way, you know, I really got to give a special thank you to Exploring With, I have no idea. Big fan of the show. Thank you so much for the super chat before I went live. I wanted to display it for everybody, but for some reason, I cannot display super chats that come in before the show is live. Don't post another super chat, but let me know, exploring with what? Because it's cut off on my end. Is it exploring with, you know, medicinal products? Exploring with, I want to give you a proper shout out, man. Thank you very much for that. And everybody, thank you as always for the support. If you like these shows on YouTube, give it the thumbs up. You don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Just be interactive. And don't forget what went down Wednesday night. Don't want to give it away. I don't want any stragglers thinking that he could just go in there and swoop in and take things away. But anyway, getting back to Gallows, Anderson, AJ Styles, Paul Heyman. I'm going to say this very quickly. My opinion on the whole situation. I remember ECW. I remember what Paul Heyman used to do, how he used to act with the talent. He would lie through his teeth, but he made you feel like $1 million and always, for some reason, would light a fire under his talent's asses. And a lot of people back in the day gave him a lot of credit for that. You know, a lot of you don't know the last 10 months of the original ECW's tenure, I actually was pushing tickets for ECW. Somebody who worked behind the scenes, I don't want to mention his name, got word of my wrestling hotline, found out how successful it was, and because they were doing shows here in New York, I'm talking pay-per-views at the Hammerstein, this person got in touch with me and said, would you like to sell ECW tickets through your hotline? And in return, not only would I be able to sit front row, but, I get a little bit of, little backstage feel to it. And that was my first experience as far as being involved with any wrestling promotions at all. And I'm not going to get into the stories of the heroes and Francine and the vomiting and all the other stuff. Francine didn't vomit. Someone else did. But that was how I got my first taste of being, part of a promotion. And I will tell you, I remember backstage meeting a lot of people, meeting Paul Heyman several times, and it did feel like a family environment. You could feel that there was a lot of disarray and a lot of concern, because when I started pushing tickets, you're talking summer of 2000. ECW was having big-time financial problems at that time. Now, what does that have to do with here? No, it's not to try to make myself seem important. I'm not. The point I'm getting at is Paul Heyman, I truthfully believe, in his heart, in his soul, was trying to treat the WWE wrestlers similar to what he used to do in ECW. Basically try to make them feel, maybe bigger than where they were, or just try to light that incentive. Keep the faith, keep hope, push yourself, support, blah, 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 blah. But there was one major problem with Paul Heyman's thinking on this. And this is just opinion. I have no idea. Any website, including yours truly, any podcaster, any writer, including yours truly, unless we're behind the scenes, unless we work in those offices, we don't know to the extent of how much Paul Heyman was a liar or Paul Heyman trying to motivate, whatever the case is. But here is the biggest problem with the whole idea of what Paul Heyman was doing. Back in the 90s, especially 97 when they had their first pay-per-view, when they were having money problems, Paul Heyman would make everybody feel like they were really worthy and worth something. Problem here is that Paul Heyman is not the boss of WWE. Paul Heyman in 1997, 8, 9, and above, after they had their first pay-per-view, he could sell a bag of beans to someone in ECW and make them feel like they're higher on the food chain than what they are. But he was the boss. He was the one in power. He didn't have anybody above him going, "You're fired!" And WWE, Vince, management let go. Gallows and Anderson. AJ Styles felt somewhat responsible for it. So do I think that Paul Heyman was lying and being deceitful with malice intentions? No. I think Paul Heyman, that mindset, thinking back to how he used to be able to motivate people even when they weren't in the big time picture. Problem is you have somebody above you right now. And when you do that to people now, and you make them feel that they're getting, their immediate future or the near future is going to be bigger and better, and it's not, and then you let go for it, big problem. Big problem, my honest opinion. What school did you go to? What's up, my brother? It's not real. It's not delivery. It's Dijonette. Did that gentleman mention experiencing with what? Exploring with what? I'm curious now. Is anybody out there? Maybe your computer setup is a little bit smaller and you could read. I want to know what he was. Exploring with what? So watch, the answer is something really ridiculous. So. But anyway, we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Some news coming out of SmackDown. Well, there's a lot of news coming out of SmackDown. But probably the one that's going to get the biggest buzz is Kofi Kingston. Big E. Is Kofi injured? Exploring with Peanuts. Yeah, exploring with Peanuts. No. Where did he go? He sent a super chat. Thank you, my friend, and he left. Maybe exploring with leaving. I don't know. But is Kofi injured? That's the number one question. Now, if you checked out the Extreme Rules pay-per-view recap that we did last Sunday, I didn't stay on the topic because, quite honestly, and I'm not saying this try to cause controversy, but I didn't think that my co-host saw the finish of the tag match. I don't know if anybody out there got that vibe as well. And me, I mean, honestly, no matter what, you don't put somebody on the spot like that. Like, did you actually see it? Because I said, what'd you think of the finish? I thought it was good. It was good. You concerned for Kofi? No. Why would I be concerned for Kofi? I mean, the guy took a crazy bump earlier in the match that we were concerned about. Then he went through 2 tables and it looked brutal. So I really, like I said, I didn't want to put my co-host on the spot. So I just moved on. But if anybody tuned in Sunday, I had a little bit of concern for Kofi. I was wondering if this guy was injured. And by the way, Wednesday Night Dynamite. If you remember Wednesday, I talked about Darby Allin. I said, I hope Darby Allin is not injured from that attack. Now, I think I got the spot wrong, but the first powerbomb that Brian Cage gave to Darby Allin outside the ring, to me, it looked like he landed on his tailbone. Now there's word going around the campfire that Darby Allin may have suffered a concussion in that. So I don't know what is going to go down next week with Darby Allin. We have that match scheduled. Darby Allin and Mox versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, Tornado Rules. So everybody, let's see what happens with that. We got a lot of stuff to get. Roberto, I know you're craving for a SmackDown recap, but you see the synopsis. There's 1,000 things to get into. It's not just a SmackDown recap. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a podcast does that. But if everybody out there would like for me to talk about SmackDown right from the beginning, I'll be more than happy to oblige. That's what I'm here for. So let's focus on SmackDown there. And me bringing up Darby Allin is a segue from one person who I thought might have been injured to another person who I thought might have been injured. Let me just clear that up. But anyway, SmackDown, I don't know what the deal is with Kofi right now. I don't know if he is injured. I don't know if this was just a creative decision to, give Big E a little bit of a focus right now. I mean, look, I know a lot of you out there are not thrilled with Grand Metalik, Lince Dorado, Shorty G, I think some people will be fine with. Chad Gable maybe a little bit as well. But when we're on SmackDown and those 4 guys, out of everybody, those 4 guys are in a 4-way to determine the new #1 contender for AJ Styles' title. I am a big fan of Chad Gable, but his momentum has been really shangata lately. He did have a little bit of momentum with, what's his face? Oh, my God. He ain't hype. What the hell's his name again? I feel bad because I keep forgetting his name. It's late. What's that Matarazzi's name again? There's somebody will post up. There's like a 7-second delay for anybody that's checking this out. Bobby Roode. Mojo Rawley, thank you. Wonderful podcast. My God, when did you think Bobby Roode or Ali was on TV going, he ain't hype? So anyway, Chad Gable, Shorty G had a little bit of momentum, with Mojo Rawley a little bit, but, they did nothing with it. So to see Shorty G suddenly win to take on AJ Styles, I think we know pretty much, he's got a snowball's chance in hell of winning. Gulak just had a match. That leaves Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit about either one of them right now. I don't know if I ever gave a shit about either one of them. But there's no denying that they are talented. I don't mind seeing Grand Metalik have a match with AJ Styles next week. Me, I'm a wrestling fan. And I'm not going to complain when someone that I don't particularly care for has a match. This guy puts on a great match next week with AJ Styles. I'm entertained. I'm satisfied. Is Grand Metalik going to generate any ratings whatsoever? Probably not. But I'm not going to crap on the match because the guy is uber talented. And AJ Styles, let's be honest, AJ Styles could put a armless, legless person in the ring and have a good match with them. So that's the match that is going to go down next week. But again, the fact that those 4 people are fighting to take on AJ Styles tells you, number one, the status of, and it's not even who is wrestling and who is not. It just goes to show you, when WWE wants to focus on only maybe like 6 or 8 people, and you leave people out to dry for too long, when you decide, or there's a point where you need to try to get them to the next level, a lot of people won't give a shit. And that's the God honest truth about Grand Metalik right now. It's not like the internet world, social media was behind Grand Metalik over and over and over again. Give him a chance, give him an opportunity, like the Naomi hashtag and this and that. They just never bothered. And even when they were kind of like in the mix for the tag titles, it just felt forced because you didn't have other people, and look at the Forgotten Sons of Bitches. What happened with that? Heavy Machinery. What happened with that? We don't know if any of them had COVID, and I'm not going to speculate. And later on, I'm going to talk a little bit about Stephanie's interview that she did that, she really didn't reveal anything that we didn't know already. I think some of the non-answer kind of got my attention more than anything else. And I find that at the fault of the interviewer, because there were some very easy follow-up questions that should have been made without doing the Mike Johnson gotcha. There was some legitimate follow-up questions that were just ignored. I think the person interviewing Stephanie was googly-eyed that, oh my God, I'm interviewing one of the most powerful women in the world. Yeah. But this goes back to Kofi. Big E, for a little while now, is going to be riding solo. Now, I don't know the progress of Xavier Woods' rehab. He should be back, I would think, not too long from now. I mean, he's got to be more, on the road to recovery than anything else. But it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if Kofi is legit injured or if they wanted to go a singles route for Big E for a little while, and maybe Big E ends up having a little feud with AJ Styles for that title. I don't believe that the New Day are going to split up. They just recently did an interview. I think Big E just said last week that, he wouldn't mind doing a little bit of a singles run. And he doesn't think that New Day have to split up to do that. Now, did anybody catch that little comment that Kofi said to Big E right before they hugged? Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a little bit of the sexual overtone for me. Put your meat on my meat. Put your meat on my meat. I know it wasn't meant to be the way it came across, but go back and watch that again. When Kofi actually said to Big E, put your meat on my meat, I started laughing. But I don't know how many people actually heard him say that. I thought it was pretty funny. But so Big E, where does he fit in this picture? Does it feel like Big E versus Braun Strowman is in the very near future? No, it seems like The Fiend is going to get another shot at Braun Strowman at SummerSlam. So I want to see where this goes. The problem is that if Big E is now going to have a little bit of a singles run, because Kofi said on TV that he's going to be out minimum 6 weeks. So we'll find out. By next week, we'll know if he's legitimately injured or not. Or maybe it's just a creative decision. Let him take some time off, relax, rest. Let's try to give Big E a little bit of it. Because let's also be honest that the New Day in the tag team division has run quite stale quite often. They're still obviously one of the top teams. They're still obviously uber popular. And remember the phrase that I have been saying for quite a while now. This is not SmackDown on Fox. This is Fox on SmackDown. And some of the characters that you see on TV is more to appease Fox than anything else. That's why you have some more of these lighthearted, comic-y, gimmicky segments. Now, one thing I've noticed also, I don't know if people have noticed this as well, that WWE more and more now is announcing numerous matches in advance. AEW's been doing that for a while too. And AEW, it's definitely helped them quite a bit. A lot of people think that NXT and the lack of matches announced last week in advance generated less interest in their product. I disagree with that. I disagree with it for the simple reason that tons of people out there channel surf on Wednesday night. They click to TNT, they go to USA Network. They go back and forth and back and forth. And trust me, if a match was going down on the USA Network that got a lot of people's attention, they would click over and they would watch it. Social media, a lot of people are active on social media while wrestling shows are on. I mean, my God, you look at Smackdown tonight, again, what I keep saying repeatedly, and I'll never understand it to the day I die. I see droves of people, droves of people who watch SmackDown, and if you see 20 tweets about SmackDown, 19 of them will not only be derogatory comments, but attempts at stand-up comedy. Like, let me complain, but let me do it in a comical way. This way, if everybody gets a kick out of it, I'm funny. But then if people kind of get mad at it, oh, no, I was just trying to be lighthearted, funny. So you can't have it both ways. Too many people sit on social media and just complain. There's fucking baseball on. There's politics on. There's movies. There's Pornhub. There's 1,000 other things. Why would anybody in their right mind watch something prime time on a Friday night that they don't like? I will never get that till the day I die. So you have certain people that are featured on SmackDown more than others. Some people complain, why do they keep bringing up Matt Riddle and his feet? His bare feet. Why his feet? His feet. His bare feet. It's because it's gimmicky. That's why they're doing it. I don't lose sleep over it. I don't even lose sleep over King Corbin and Matt Riddle, which looks like it might be a SummerSlam match as well. When Michael Cole says tonight on SmackDown, for some reason, King Corbin has a problem with Matt Riddle. If you let that sink in for a little bit, that should tell you right then and there that why are these two together? Even the announcers can't give you a good explanation as to why Matt Riddle and King Corbin are feuding. It's just right now they want someone who is a heel, someone who gets under the people's skin, someone who is not on any momentum right now, someone who we wouldn't mind seeing getting their ass beat to interact with Matt Riddle. That's why they're doing it. There ain't no way that King Corbin in this feud is going to overtake and overcome Matt Riddle. This is, Matt Riddle on the bottom of the ladder working his way up. He faced AJ Styles to get that nice momentum right at the beginning, and now they bring it back down a little bit, and little by little, he climbs the food chain. Problem is, as Matt Riddle climbs, we go back to Big E. Where does this leave Big E in this situation? I don't see Big E going up with Braun Strowman anytime soon. They may tease it on television, but you can't just have Kofi, taking his meat and hugging, Big E's meat. 6 weeks flies by like this. 6 weeks is very shortly after SummerSlam. So if Kofi's going to be back possibly in 6 weeks, and I know this sounds really stupid what I'm about to say, but I think it really makes a ton of sense. If Kofi possibly returns in 6 weeks, this means something needs to be done with Big E in less than 6 weeks. Because if they don't do anything with Big E as a singles guy over the next 6 weeks, It's like the hacker storyline. After 6 weeks, we might as well just forget about it. New Day could reform the tag team and whatever goes, goes. So something has to give very, very soon. That's why I think even with Grand Metalik, they're fighting next week. AJ Styles gets the win, blah, 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 blah. They move on. Now you still got plenty of time before SummerSlam. So AJ Styles, I think, is probably the person that might end up going at it with Big E a little bit. And honestly, Roberto, please go check out JD Solomonster. Go check out another podcast. All right. Or better yet, you want to send me super chats and tell me what the fuck you want me to say on these shows, then I'll talk about my Pellegrino water. All right. But, you're complaining because I'm sorry, man. I got to put you on visual mute from now on. I shouted you out, but, if you don't like this, go. Jason's awesome, One Fall. Jason's good people. But, it sounds like my kind of show is not, for you. Unless you're a podcaster hiding under, a Spanish name, Roberto. So I don't mean it personally, but seriously, I think you should go elsewhere. There's a lot of other podcasts out there that you might enjoy a little bit more. And I dropped the fucking cap for my soda. It's going to be flat before I'm done. Darren calls me racist. Did you look at the last name? I don't think that last name was Polish. All right. Go on, what's that, lifeline.com, or what was the 45andMe? Go on there and type in that last name and see what comes up. You tell me if it's Asian or if you tell me if it's Spanish. Don't give me that racist dumb shit. Anyway, so I think Big E is in line to do something with AJ Styles. That's where it seems like this is going. I know some of you out there were not all that thrilled with the opening of SmackDown today. I don't get it. Seriously, I don't get it. Jeff Hardy is a grown man. There wasn't going to be actual alcohol being used as weapons in a bar fight. Jeff Hardy opens up. My name is Jeff Hardy, and I am an alcoholic. Since the night that Sheamus framed him behind the wheel, this whole storyline is a public service announcement. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So it's all it's been. You may not like WWE using his battles, his addictions in storyline. I have said this since that night of the whole car thing. I have no problem with it. I don't like WWE being uber PSA announcements, public service announcements. Everything is like a PSA, like a subliminal message behind it. Whether it's this person being old or if Piggy this or this, there's so many things that they do. But if Jeff Hardy is comfortable with this, and, a lot of you out there have never battled addiction. So this might be therapeutic. You ever hear someone who battles issues and they talk about it and they bring it out in the open? They feel so much more relieved after. I'm not going to deny what a lot of you say, because I've said it myself. This puts a ton of pressure on Jeff Hardy. Because if Jeff Hardy slips up again, it's over. I mean, maybe an indie promotion would hire him here and there, but his WWE tenure is over. He's got a family. Jeff Hardy, this is a sickness. It's an illness. It is a battle that he will fight to the day that he dies, which hopefully is decades and decades and decades from now. So if Jeff Hardy is comfortable in using this as a storyline with a bigger message to people out there, I mean, think of COVID, coronavirus. You have seen on the news for months now that depression has elevated for a lot of people. Jesus Christ, suicides are up quite a bit. Now, I'm not going to blame any of the suicides in pro wrestling on coronavirus, but we've had a couple of suicides go down in pro wrestling over the last couple of months. I know I'm going to sound like an asshole for saying this, but, for most of you out there, you probably only heard about Hana Kimura, And I'm not going to speculate as far as the passing of Z-Barr that happened earlier this week. But how many of you out there checked out other podcasters and websites that took the time to pay a little tribute for Z-Barr? Because I'm sure a lot of you out there know what, the word is as far as his cause of death. What's the matter? Z-Barr's tits weren't nice enough for people out there to talk about it? That just shows you the level of fake in a lot of people, You don't have to know someone or to be a fan of someone to not let it affect. Depression is a big deal. Alcoholism is a big deal. Drug addiction is a big deal. There's a lot of people that are trying to numb the pain and depression with coronavirus and everything else. So Jeff Hardy doing this storyline, it may actually, as ridiculous as this sounds to some people out there, and I get it. I am totally in agreement with a lot of you out there. We want to just see wrestling. We don't want to see public service announcements about battling alcoholism and demons and stuff. I get it. I totally get it. But this is what WWE does. And there's been tons of storylines, from Nia Jax to Mickie James. You could go, there's so many over the years. So if this is approved by Jeff Hardy, and he may be an inspiration for some people out there who are maybe trying to overcome their demons, so be it. I don't understand why I saw people that I follow on social media, and I have mostly everybody muted, but I'll do a general search on Twitter, and sometimes I'll search logged off so I could see what everybody is saying. And I saw so many people saying, they had the clip of Jeff Hardy saying, my name is Jeff Hardy and I'm an alcoholic. And they were writing, this is why I'm not watching SmackDown today. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable about it, that's on you. But to turn around and make it sound like WWE is absolutely terrible for doing this and how disgusting and this and that, this might actually be therapeutic. I know for me personally, I like being challenged sometimes. I deal with addiction. I've been taking painkillers since 1996. I have pain so bad sometimes. I just got an epidural in my hip last week. I wanted so bad to take a little video of me in the radiology getting the epidural to show everyone, but everything, especially with COVID, is uber sanitary, and you couldn't bring the phone in there and this and that. But I only take 1 or 2 painkillers a day. But I've been taking them now for 24 years. All right? I don't know, what's going to happen, but, I know for a fact I could not survive without it. My pain is so severe, I need it. I don't take it to get high, though. So, I understand why some people may be turned off by this, but to have this high and almighty, I think you're overthinking things too much. Plus, Jeff Hardy is going to win in this storyline. It's not like they have Hawk, and the Hawk thing was tasteless. That I'll say. But it's not like Jeff Hardy's going to fall off the SmackDown logo. They brought back the fist, and it's unhappily ever after. There was going to be a positive conclusion in this. Jeff Hardy was put in a bar storyline, and the message is he confronted his demons. Remember when I said Sheamus is like Sean O'Hare? Sheamus is like the devil? Come on, Jeff. You're a grown adult. You can have one drink. One drink's not going to kill you. You're an adult. You know when to say when. You could stop. You're strong. Prove it to yourself. And you think about that. That kind of actually makes sense. Yeah, I'm an adult. It's legal for me to have a drink. Why can't I just have a little sip? What? That's the storyline. Jeff Hardy confronts his demons, confronts the devil, confronts Sean O'Hare, and beats him. Simple as that. I don't think people really should shit on this as much as it. Now, let's be honest, and I know I'm jumping back and forth, but, that's how I do what I do. That bar fight kind of sucked. I think we now know why it wasn't on Extreme Rules. because it was pretty much just a regular beatdown brawl. You know, you had some, you know, stunt props being used, which is the right way to go, honestly. But the whole thing was, you know, in the end, Sheamus, you know, knocks him on his ass. I like Sheamus's hat, though. I'm not going to lie. If I could get one on Amazon for like $10, I think I'm going to get one. I want to get one of those hats. I'll wear it for one week. Who used to wear that? Oh, you know, look at this shit. We kept joking about the full-blooded Italians. You know, Johnny the Bull. Johnny the Bull used to wear a similar hat to that. Look at that. I just happen to have it here. Anybody want this, by the way? It's just sitting here collecting dust. It's sealed in the package. Anybody want it? First person in the chat that says they want it, they could have it. Just hopefully you're not in like, you know, land or, you know, just, you know, Marsiverse. You know, easy shipping. Anybody want it? All right, Alex Cantalupo. Alex, what's going on, man? Alex, it's yours. It's yours. You know what? Since I'm in a giving mood, Billy and Chuck, signed by both. Anybody want Billy and Chuck? You got to write Billy and Chuck, so I know it's not an old message from Full-Blooded Italians. Anybody want Billy and Chuck? First person that types, I'll take Billy and Chuck, or B and C, something. Anybody writes B and C or Billy and Chuck, you can have this. I will ship it out on Monday. All right, the W. That's like Bret Hart. I'm going to fight at the SummerSlam. The W. How do I get in touch with you? I'm not trying to be a jerk right now, but I'm going to tell you the W. PM me on Twitter or email me. You know what's going to happen. Everybody that knows the alphabet is going to email me now and say, hey, I'm the W. How do I prove it? The W, you know? Hey, the W, you know? We'll figure it out. Anyway, don't forget later, we'll do this. Let's talk a little bit about SmackDown a little bit more. We're actually running pretty good time because the history thing's only going to take about 10 minutes today. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Joey Ryan and why I compare him to Ron Jeremy. Michael Elgin made some more claims. Not going to spend much time on there, but something I found a little bit interesting. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit about the news and the ratings. Now, I will let everybody know this. Quarter-hour ratings, AEW and NXT, they are not in yet. All right, for some reason it's delayed. I don't know why it's delayed. I know it was delayed for Meltzer and people I usually get it from. Zap doesn't have it. So we'll probably have to hold off on that until next Wednesday. But I'm sure you all heard Sasha can't brag as much anymore about her rating for NXT. We'll get into that a little bit later. But let's finish up the SmackDown discussion a little bit. Then we'll do the trivia, and then we'll talk about other news and get out of here. We'll be done by 12:05. Right now, it's only 10:49. One fall, I'm going to defend the ratings, man. I'm going to defend it. I think people need to take a little bit of a step back with the ratings. But anyway, let's get back to SmackDown. So, you know, Jeff Hardy opens up, doing his vignette, setting up the match later as Sheamus. JBL is the former Hall of Famer superstar giving his predictions or his thoughts, and later on he gave his prediction that Jeff Hardy was going to win. I didn't think there was any other decision there. No, Darren, I agree. Ratings are for Yelp. Ratings are for advertisers. Ratings are for business. But it also gives you a snapshot as far as what seems to have momentum when what doesn't. All right. Meltzer tweeted something that I thought was very intelligent, but he misses the boat on one very important element. We'll get into that a little bit later. We then had Bayley and Sasha hitting the ring on SmackDown, and they're talking about celebrating having all the belts. Yeah, I don't know what it is with WWE and their latest obsession that a heel who doesn't have the belt but has possession of the belt, what's stopping Asuka from hitting the ring and taking back her belt because she didn't lose it at Extreme Rules? So Sasha in the ring with that belt, to me, is almost like the lazy version of what they're doing with MVP. Yeah, I know Apollo Crews got COVID, but the whole idea of MVP introducing the new belt, that's not his. Then Extreme Rules goes down, and WWE thinks that Apollo could compete till the last minute, and he can't. And then still, having MVP in possession of that belt is just dumb. But his makes a lot more sense than Sasha Banks. I have said the last couple of weeks that I'm getting a little tired of Sasha Banks and Bayley. But again, this is why you have to actually listen to what I say and not just hear it. I have never complained about their ability. I have said that I really like Bayley's character. She is knocking it out of the park at what she's doing. I don't mind them on my television. But for me, oversaturation becomes a problem as well. You don't see their segments and every week the ratings creeping up a little more. No, it's the opposite is happening. And you look over the last couple of months, Bayley, Sasha, Nikki, Lexi, Nikki, Sasha, Bayley, Alexi, Nikki. I mean, come on. I'm getting a little sick of it. You talk about, give Naomi a better opportunity, whatever the hashtag it was, but this WWE is just stuck on this. Now, I did say on Monday night this week that I think we might start seeing a split between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. To me, Alexa Bliss is 1,000 times better as a heel. The problem is you just made Lacey Evans a heel again. If Naomi is going to get more opportunity on TV and not just Miz TV and stuff like that, you got to be patient, everyone. This is the problem with a lot of people on social media, and this is why I mute so many people now. I understand people's frustration towards Naomi's status in the company. I had a long conversation on the Extreme Rules recap about it. But it's not like WWE's got to be like, stop the presses, rip up the storyline, tear it up. Let's just change everything. No, this is episodic storyline, soap opera. You can't just because you get a trend on social media and then the following week Naomi's got a title shot. That's fantasy land most of the time. You got to build it up the right way. Look at Karrion Kross. I want to wait for the quarter ratings to talk about Karrion Kross versus Dijakovic. But you got some people out there that are big fans of Karrion Kross, and as well. But I also understand that I compared him to a carrot the other day. When you plant a seed in the ground, it's not like you plant the seed, you add water, a little bit of cow shit, and then the next day it's blooming and you could have salad. No, it takes a while. And some people out there, they plant the seed and 3 weeks later, they're fucking like a dog digging the ground, he's ready. Oh my God, stop the presses. I got to build my entire fed around him. No, the carrot is probably the size of a podcaster's dick right now. You got to take your time with it. Naomi, they have to find the right opportunity. They have to blend it in. We got SummerSlam coming up. So, unfortunately, they're not going to change the entire... if you get them back in Saudi Arabia, and maybe you could pay somebody in Saudi Arabia to really hold some of the women's division hostage, and Naomi is the only one that stood back in Florida. And she's the only one that could be on TV. Take your time. It's going to happen. Relax. It's going to happen. I used to joke about Naomi. I used to remember years ago, I get no crowd, Papa, yeah. I did the whole swoop. I get no crowd, Papa, yeah. After a while, she started catching on and she started developing. And she ended up being one of the top women on WWE roster. But not everybody is on top. Look at Sasha Banks. Remember a year and a half ago? Everybody, look, Sasha, every time she gets a belt, she never gets to keep it. She hardly ever wins. They totally misusing Sasha. Oh, Sasha's crying on the rug. She's crying and peeing on the rug. People like... It's just course they were frustrated, but social media blows it up like a bomb. You know, now look at Sasha's position in the company. She's arguably, you know, top 2, top 3 right now. Give it time. Give it time. This segment with Naomi on Miz TV, I can't believe how many people that got so angry. What did you think was going to happen today with her? So, again, you have Bayley, Sasha come out, Nikki and Lacey come out, and Nikki Cross is demanding another shot, even though she's had maybe one win in God knows how long. And Bayley, you know, because there's no authority head, hey, I'll fight one of you next week, or I'll fight you, Nikki, if you could beat your partner, Alexa Bliss. So this immediately sets up a match between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I watched the first 5-6 minutes of that match, and the only thing that kept going through my head is, man, Nikki Cross, suspension of disbelief and storyline, she is really telling a story that she wants it. She wants this title shot. Alexa Bliss, I don't know if she was missing her coffee in the first 5 or 6 minutes, but you would almost say to yourself, is Alexa Bliss in storyline? She realized that she's fighting for a championship opportunity next week. But then for some reason, after about 6 minutes, she turned it up. And honestly, that match was very good today. They really, really turned it up. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. First half of the match felt very one-sided. And I'm not saying that it was a one-sided beatdown. The story, Nikki told a great story that she wants it bad. Alexa Bliss is just going through the motions. But after the match, I was very satisfied with the match. Basically, they're selling that Nikki Cross still has injured ribs. And she sold that she was in pain. And then she rolls up Alexa Bliss and gets the victory. And at one point during the match, they were both brawling outside the ring, and they both turned around and they basically knocked Sasha Banks and Bayley on their asses. Bayley and Sasha on commentary today was a lot of fun. I know for some of you out there, it's getting very annoying, but you know they are entertaining. There is no question at all. No, we're not getting Michael Cole versus Bayley at SummerSlam. But it was a very good match. And it makes you wonder, is Alexa Bliss going to go back to her heel ways? A lot of people think that Alexa Bliss may cost Nikki the match next week, and maybe this sets up Nikki versus Alexa Bliss, which I talked about last week. Maybe that's the way they go. Problem is, you just turned Lacey Evans back to a heel. So who are your top baby faces on SmackDown? You got a couple, but who's it going to be? Naomi and Nikki Cross for the most part? You're going to get Dana Brooke, you know? I mean, there's a little bit of a gap there. So let's see where it goes. But next week you will have Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Nikki Cross. And, you know, let's see. Obviously, there's going to be a swerve next week. We don't know what it's going to be, but obviously this is going to change the direction of the storyline leading into SummerSlam. Without question, Carmella is just pretty much non-existent on television right now, you know? So you can't even include Carmella in the mix. So, anyway, I'm telling you, I'm convinced everybody, Roberto is a podcaster who is extremely jealous of yours truly and the success that's building on YouTube. So wait till I get rid of audio only and make it Patreon only, and everybody's forced to come to YouTube. Watch what happens then. I'll call it Roberto Audio. So anyway, so Nikki Cross, after the match is over, they're in the back. Alexa Bliss, no hard feelings. You know, they have a little bit of a hug, but it makes me wonder if Alexa Bliss is going to turn on Nikki Cross next week. Or Nikki Cross loses and she flips out. Nikki Cross has not won many matches in recent months. So there's a lot of frustration there in storyline. So we'll see what happens next week. Next we have the Firefly Funhouse segment. recapping a little bit of the swamp match. Bray has the lantern in the Firefly Funhouse, and at the end, he's kissing the lantern. That lantern is cool. The one in the WWE shop is pretty awesome. I had that as a Patreon prize, and 2 times in the last 4 months, someone selected that as the prize, and they told me they absolutely loved it, both of the people that took it. And by the way, for the Patreon predictions contest, Sunday, Mish and I are going to be doing breakfast soup on Patreon. We will officially announce the winner and the runner-ups on Sunday. I will tell everyone out there that it looks like we have a winner. We had about 5 people tie with the next runner-up for the runner-up prize. The problem is we don't have a tiebreaker because MVP and Apollo Crews never went down. So I think what I'm going to do is give those 5 people that tied for second, I think I'm going to give them all a supplemental prize. So 1 prize is probably going to turn into 5. So that's probably the way I'm going to go because, that's how I am for our Patreon family. So we'll talk about it Sunday. I'll make the official announcement. But I will say this. Everybody who either got a runner-up or the one person who scored the most points, everybody picked Jeff Hardy to win that bar fight. We thought it may have gone down Sunday, but even if we use today's result as part of the contest, everybody chose Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy's match did not affect the contest at all. I don't want anybody to feel like that they got screwed because of that one match. That did not happen. But Bray Wyatt, the whole explanation of his segment is The Fiend is back. And The Fiend is probably going to challenge Braun Strowman at SummerSlam. Let's see where it goes. Braun Strowman.
Ho, ho, ho.
Green Giant.
He is, to me, been not very good. Not so good as champion. Bray Wyatt, look, I've said this a few times now. He's got a newborn. Him and JoJo, proud new parents, recent, another child. So he has been almost non-existent on WWE television. I invite you, if you want to dispute me on this, go look at his total matches since COVID started. Take away the match with Cena, take away the swamp match, and you got Money in the Bank, and then what? Go look it up. Seriously. We got 5 fingers, 5 toes. No, 5 fingers and 5 toes on each hand and foot. You got 10 and 10 altogether. You take away Money in the Bank, WrestleMania, and the swamp match, I don't even know if he's wrestled 20 minutes since, the match with Goldberg or when COVID started. So I don't know. I know a lot of us would love to see The Fiend regain that title. People are still very bitter as far as what happened with Goldberg, but remember the original plan. You remember the whole scenario with Roman Reigns and everything else, and that obviously got thrown in disarray because of COVID and Roman Reigns being gone. But even if you make The Fiend champion right now, how much is The Fiend going to be on teleaway with Firefly Funhouse segments? But you got to have more. So, I don't know. Again, you go back to the Big E thing. I guarantee you, everybody out there would love to see Big E and Braun maybe feud for that title. Who knows? Maybe Big E could be your next heavyweight champion. The problem is, you think of that 6-week scenario, shit's got to start happening and start happening soon. Yeah, look, it's nothing personal against Braun, but to me, he's like the Jolly Green Giant. But I will still say, man, that promo he cut on SmackDown last Friday, it just, I don't know what happened, but it's almost like somebody held a loved one of his hostage, or maybe a pet hostage, better fucking turn it up, or I'm going to squash this loved one of yours like a grape. I mean, I honestly, it's almost like, everybody takes a dump, but then once in a blue moon, you take that violent dump. It was like a violent dump. He was angry, violent, expressive, just an emotion, just Where's that Braun been? But now he's in the swamp. He's in the swamp. I'm telling you, lit a fire under his ass. You know? Go back and watch it last week. I'm telling you. So anyway, Matt Riddle, he has a match with Tony Nese, basically a squash. Again, they needed somebody to face Matt Riddle today. Tony Nese is good, but, you know, there really wasn't much there. Matt Riddle then calls out King Corbin, and King Corbin, he's now has what's called the King's Ransom. Somebody could take out Matt Riddle. They get the ransom. Now, once again, I bring up what Michael Cole said earlier. For some reason, King Corbin has a problem with Matt Riddle. You know, the King's Ransom for someone that even the announcers in storyline don't even know why he has a problem with. Seriously, think of the storyline. Matt Riddle just cut a fucking 85-minute promo a couple of weeks ago that when he was a kid, he had frostbite and his feet burn and he can't walk without the shoes. Corbin, steal his fucking slippers. You know, force him to walk around with better yet, you're in Florida. Hold him hostage and then put him in the middle of the fucking beach with that hot sand and 100-degree weather. Just tie him up, kidnap him, put him on a beach right smack in the middle where there's hundreds of yards of nothing but sand in the beaming eye, and just that's how you ruin him. That's it. He'll be fighting from his knees. I know that's a dumb storyline, but, you know, this storyline, like I said, somebody's got to, you know, be the sacrificial lamb for Matt Riddle right now. Lamb, not lamp. I think it came across as lamp. Somebody's got to be a sacrificial lamb for Matt Riddle right now, and it's King Corbin. You know, at least you could be confident that King Corbin is not going to get, you know, in the end, the upper hand on Matt Riddle. You know, Corbin will have some moments where he attacks Riddle and stuff like that, but in the end, Matt Riddle will shine, and he will go on to his next opponent. So, Miz and Morrison in the back, talking about Naomi, trending on Twitter last week. They bring her out. A lot of people were not happy with this segment. They talk about how she's worked for over a decade, and, you know, they talk about her making a return to the Royal Rumble and losing, and she will not let them disrespect her fans and the hard work she's done. You know, the only problem I had with this segment today was they make it sound like Naomi has had no success. I mean, I remember 1 or 2 WrestleManias, memorable, extremely memorable. It's not like Naomi has been used and misused and abused for 10 years. She's had some great opportunity, but sometimes you got to take a step back. Now, before anybody asks, I know what Booker T said. I'm going to save the Booker T discussion for Monday. I will have a little discussion with my co-host, and we'll talk about it there, because we had started that conversation that night with the Extreme Rules recap. So we'll talk about it on Monday. And, you know, Chad, I'll say this. I thought Booker T was right in what he said. I think the way he explained it was a little misleading. But, you know, and I also heard that Booker T and Naomi did have a conversation, and they're on the same page. And I would not be surprised next week if Booker T on his podcast kind of clarifies a little bit of what he said, because some people got really offended by what he said. And honestly, I knew what his point was. I just think he wasn't as clear. Plus, when he did that recap show, I don't think he was really prepared whether he actually thought about this a little bit and then discussed it. So, you know, it has nothing to do with Black. It really doesn't. It's, you know, it's not, you can't use that only when someone that you like isn't getting the opportunity that you want that person to get. So, you know, we'll talk about it on Monday. But, you know, Miz TV with Naomi, interrupted by Lacey Evans. You know, one part Lacey Evans, who's now full-blown heel. Naomi hits her and she gets makeup all over her face. They have a brawl, and now next week it's going to be Naomi versus Lacey Evans. All I'm going to say to that is, can you imagine if Lacey Evans wins next week? Can you imagine social media? I would just not even log into social media for a day. Or just avoid wrestling entirely. Shinsuke, Cesaro, backstage. They have a little interview segment, and Shinsuke having a little bit more English. We'll see what they're doing with the tag team division right now, especially with Big E going on his own, and we don't know what the deal is with Kofi. I mean, they have other tag teams, obviously, but next week we're getting Mandy Rose and Otis. The love storyline continues. So, I don't know when they return to a match. The fact that they were last seen at the pool, and now after all of these weeks they're continuing this stuff. I don't know if maybe Otis's tag partner has some health issues, or, especially right now, you would think this is like the perfect opportunity. Maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable to compete. It could be something as simple as that. But once again, what's up, King Merc? Once again, this is Fox on SmackDown, not SmackDown on Fox. So when you ask yourself, why do we have these segments that we do, more on SmackDown than on Raw? Again, this is primetime regular television, if you want to look at it that way. This is Fox, and you look at, I don't like bringing up demographics, but you look at the crowd that, they're trying to attract, the younger audience, because the older audience is there. So, this is why you get some of the things you get. So, we already talked about Kofi and Big E. So, Big E will be going singles for a little while. Let's see where that goes. Then we had the four-way with Shorty G, Grand Metalik, Drew Gulak, and Lince Dorado. Fun match. At one point I thought Shorty G may possibly get the win. He had the ankle lock on Drew Gulak. Lince Dorado breaks it up with the splash, and then not too long after that, Lince Dorado. I always say Lince. I don't know. Grand Metalik, the elbow off the top rope onto Shorty G for the win. After that, AJ Styles hits the ring, wants to have a handshake with Grand Metalik, and he's like, shake my hand, but Metalik, you're a number one contender for the title. And I'm talking storyline. You're looking at your partner like, is it okay if I shake his hand? Is it okay if I shake his hand? You deserve to get slapped. AJ Styles slaps him. They have a little bit of a brawl. Grand Metalik is left holding the belt in the air. And honestly, I really don't give a shit. Roberto, Grand Metalik is a one-off deal. This is to fill a week. That's all it is to fill a week. AJ Styles, bigger and better things in the very near future with SummerSlam. This is just to fill a week. I think some people out there that are really focusing on like, wait, with all the people in there, it's 1 week. It's 1 week. So next week, AJ Styles versus Grand Metalik, Bayley against Nikki Cross, Naomi versus Lacey Evans, Otis and Mandy segment. I know I'm forgetting something, but again, like I said, WWE is starting to spread this out. They're starting to, not only spread out these storylines a little bit more, but they're also hyping up more matches in advance. They're announcing more matches in advance, and that's a smart thing to do. Be confident behind the stuff that again, Wednesday it's a little different. Channel surfing. NXT doesn't announce as many matches. Look at AEW next week. All right. AEW next week has already announced Moxley and Allen versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a Texas Tornado match. Cody is going to defend the TNT title against Warhorse. Now, I know a lot of you out there are going to be like, who? Well, I follow this guy online. This guy has been cutting promos, working his ass off, putting videos out there to get an opportunity. A lot of people, again, I'm not trying to disrespect other shows out there, but There's too many podcasters, too many websites out there that only talk about the main rosters that get them the most attention and the most likes. I actually heard 2 podcasters in the last 5 days say, I don't watch this other show because I don't cover it. That goes to show you what kind of a wrestling fan you're dealing with. I was so happy that he got this opportunity. Is he going to win? Absolutely not. This is just getting some buzz. You know, it's a one-shot deal. There's nothing wrong with that. So I like the fact that Eddie Kingston got the opportunity against Cody. I almost said Kofi. Last Wednesday, everybody that tuned in, remember, me and almost everybody that was interacting all said last Wednesday, you know, we would love Eddie Kingston to be that one to take on Cody. So, yeah, maybe it's not a huge ratings draw, even though that match was excellent Wednesday. Warhorse, most people aren't going to know who he is. Go look him up. But he's getting an opportunity against Cody, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. You have a Karushita versus Diamante in a non-title match. You have Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defending the tag titles against Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. And the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara versus Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. So, you know, not a bad card. They announced it right in advance. And next week, AEW is going to be live. Telling you, man, WWE had that Great American Bash. They had those 2 weeks worth of victory. And I saw people out there saying, oh, NXT smells blood in the water. They smell blood in the water. I think it was the opposite. I think AEW said, oh, yeah? All right, watch what happens. And you see, look what happened with the ratings this past week. AEW 845. My prediction was 825, so I was pretty close. But I said, I think like 717 for NXT, and they only got 615. Not only is that the biggest gap between the two since March, AEW was back to ratings before COVID even struck. And for those that don't know yet, everybody talked about Sasha having that 900,000 rating on Wednesday against Io Shirai. Well, apparently the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade, that quarter hour with the last 5 to 7 minutes of their match, they had over 1 million people watching that match. That's a perfect example of people changing the channel surfing, stopping at the Young Bucks with this street fight with Butcher and Blade. And as much as I make fun of Butcher and Blade and call them the Ice Cream Men and this and that, I felt very good to hear that they did 1 million viewers, because the Young Bucks have had many matches and the ratings have not been all that spectacular. In fact, I don't know if it was week before, 2 weeks before, their match, the ratings actually had dropped a drop. Not a lot, but just dropped a little. So it's not always like Young Bucks are on, everybody stops what they're doing and stay glued to the TV. That spot that they did at the very end of the match was awesome. But I was very happy to see that those guys were involved in a match that did over 1 million viewers. So, by the way, everyone, if you're tuning in, it doesn't matter if it's live. If you're enjoying the show, I would really appreciate it if you give the episode a thumbs up. The more thumbs up, the more views, the more subscribers, the more exposure. And like I said, you know, I hate to say it, man, but there's a select group of people that are hoping for this channel to implode or for me to get frustrated and sick of this and that. Like I said, this is still brand new for me. I'm only on here for 6 months. Started January 22nd. This is July 24th. I'm going to spend the rest of the year, you know, just playing with things, you know, tweaking things here and there. We're now starting to implement contests, and why not? Let's do the contest now. But before that, you know, because some people may say, well, you didn't finish SmackDown with Jeff Hardy. We already talked about it at the beginning of the show. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, they walk into the bar. You know, Jeff Jeff Hardy, he's sitting next to Sheamus, and, they ready to have the fight. And it was mostly fisticuffs, a couple of stage props. But towards the end, you had Sheamus get the upper hand. He puts his hat over Jeff Hardy's face. And again, I think everybody and their mother knew that Jeff Hardy was, when they lifted the hat, there was going to be makeup. I think the only question was, will it be his regular makeup that he comes out to, or will it be Willow? I think some people thought it may be Willow. The only difference is he had some funky eye contacts, which I'm sure he probably has worn before. And Sheamus looks all freaked out with it. And Jeff Hardy, hooks up, beats the fuck out of Sheamus, climbs the top and near the ceiling of the bar and does a beautiful senton. I think we all realized that Jeff Hardy did his senton onto like a mattress or something, because that was a cement floor, and there was no reason to have him do the senton onto Sheamus on a cement floor. So if you look at the camera, the way they did that, this is similar to what they've done on some recorded episodes of WWE Raw and SmackDown in the past. They had him, the camera a certain way. Jeff Hardy takes the dive, they pause it, and then they do it. That's what it was. But Jeff Hardy gets the win. And as I said earlier, Jeff Hardy overcomes the devil, the demons, and the temptation. You may not like that it was brought into storyline, but at least be happy that in the end, Jeff Hardy overcame. The one thing that I think some people got a buzz at online, Jeff Hardy actually mentioned Matt right before the brawl. They're sitting at the bar, and Jeff Hardy says something like, my brother had to delete his WWE career. Jeff has to regain his, just basically reclaim his career. There was not much to it. He didn't say Matt. He just said my brother deleted his WWE career, or had to delete his WWE career. But, look, for SmackDown, it wasn't bad. But I think we all realized why it was on SmackDown and not Extreme Rules. And you know what? It was probably better to have it on SmackDown because of the grab to get viewers on Fox compared to the WWE. Extreme Rules did not need that bar fight. Extreme Rules overall was terrible. Some of the matches had great potential and the outcomes were very lackluster and really just poor. But that bar fight would not have changed anybody's feelings. If anything, I think people would have complained if that was a pay-per-view, a match on that pay-per-view. So we'll see where it goes. So anyway, that was SmackDown. So want to do the contest, everyone? So I know not everybody's going to want one of these bobbleheads. So very easy. I gave the teaser. Hopefully you follow me on Twitter. Hopefully you saw on YouTube. I posted that it's going to be a trivia. The first person that gets the answer right will get the bobblehead. I don't care where you live. If you want to participate, then please do. The topic is AEW Dynamite, and it's a trivia contest. So, with that said, I'm going to give you the trivia question right now. I am looking at the chat. Get ready to type. The first person that could give me this answer will get the bobblehead. Again, the topic is AEW Dynamite. Not making it difficult. Hopefully, we'll probably have a winner in about 2 seconds. All right? Everybody ready? You ready to type? Everybody that wants it? All right. Here's the trivia question. You have to give me both names. AEW Dynamite's first ever match on TNT. Got to give me both names. So far, we don't have a winner. I know some people are doing Google searches right now. First ever match on AEW. Nope. Daniel-san got it. Daniel-san got it. And you know what? I don't like to play particulars here, but Daniel-san is, he's good people. Everybody's good people. But Daniel-san, he contributes also for the show, so it's nice. All right? So Daniel-san, and look, I got about 50 of these. We'll do bobblehead giveaways, every week, every other week. Look, let's be honest. Not everybody gives a shit about Don Tony, But Daniel-san, you can PM me on Twitter, email. I know your info. So first ever match on AEW Dynamite on TNT. Because I know some people are listening to audio only and they don't know what the answer is. Cody defeated Sammy Guevara. That is the first match. In fact, I'm not going to lie. I was going to have a second contest tonight, but the question I was going to ask was going to be way too hard. This is not a contest, but if you really want to stump people, look up what AEW Dark's first ever match was. It was Darby Allin versus, I can't remember who his opponent was, but I originally was going to use the AEW Dark first ever match, but that would have been impossible. So Cody versus Sammy Guevara, first ever match on AEW Dynamite. So there you go. So like I said, Wednesday, we'll get into the quarter hours a little bit more. Very cool. We still have about 35, 40 minutes to get into some stuff. Let's talk very briefly about Pat McAfee. Do I really have to talk about this guy? So many of you had emailed me and said, please, I want you to talk about what happened with those two. Unfortunately, everyone, I can't play the video. I don't like Pat McAfee in the first place. So if I see his video, I might do a Seth Rollins. By the way, what did you all think of Miz and Morrison doing the vomit meter with Seth Rollins? With the 5, I actually thought that was pretty funny, the vomit meter. Honestly, when I see Pat McAfee, especially his lower extremities where he wears the shorts and those goofy, I know that's the look these days, but I look at that and it's like, that's like a 9 on the vomit meter. Good for him, but I can't stand Pat McAfee. So even if I enjoyed this guy, I don't think that guy would allow his footage to be put here. So I can't show the footage. But basically, if you haven't seen it already, go seek it out. Pat McAfee has his own show called The Pat McAfee Show. He had Adam Cole on as a guest. And apparently they've had some friction in the past. Pat McAfee, I guess Adam Cole was in his area. I don't know where the hell he has his show from. But he invited Adam Cole to go maybe to his house and be a guest on the Pat McAfee Show. Now, I'm just giving you the overall synopsis and to tell you my thoughts on it. They get on the topic of Shawn Michaels. Now, I know a lot of you out there have made the comparisons of Adam Cole's work and Shawn Michaels. It's not just the physique. It's not just their repertoire, their work, but I will continue to say that Adam Cole was the MVP of WWE and the wrestler of 2019. Just my opinion. I think Adam Cole was the wrestler. I don't include Japanese wrestling because so few of you watch Japanese wrestling. Of course, there's Japanese talent that are in the top 3 every year. But for me, Adam Cole, number 1, 2019. Now, they're talking about the comparison to Shawn Michaels. Pat McAfee basically they start getting into it with insults. Pat McAfee talks about how Shawn Michaels, when he first made it, he did it on his own. He didn't need other people, to help him rise to the top. Yes, I know about the DX stuff, but Shawn Michaels was at the top way before DX. And Pat McAfee is basically insulting Adam Cole by saying, you didn't get where you were without the Undisputed Era and this and that. You're no Shawn Michaels. You're not in his league, blah, 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 blah. Adam Cole tells him you're being a total dick right now. They start having some really big words with each other. And the next thing you know, Pat McAfee brings up Adam Cole's size. Now, you know that there's been controversy in the past. I don't know if it was Superstar Billy Graham, but him and a few others have talked about Adam Cole being small. I think it was Billy Graham that said he should take steroids. When Pat McAfee brought up Adam Cole's size, he storms up Microphone hits the floor, the stand, and he gets like right near in the face of Pat McAfee. They're on each side of the desk. Some producer person goes up to Adam Cole. He really shoves him hard backwards, and basically Adam Cole tells Pat McAfee, "Fuck you." He says the F word a few times, and he storms off. Yes, Anthony Diaz, Superstar Billy Graham, also said that Kofi should do steroids. And it disappoints me because Superstar Billy Graham was one of my favorites back in the day. So Adam Cole, says, "Fuck you," and he storms off. So McAfee is all stunned. Then he goes on social media and he says that Adam Cole, totally unprofessional, broke a microphone, broke a headset, either, injured his producer or almost injured his producer. And that's basically the controversy going around right now. For everybody out there that wants my opinion on this situation, when I saw that go down, I hope some of you are old school fans of the NFL. Oh, I hope some of you go back to 90s NFL. I hope some of you read the synopsis earlier, because all I kept thinking about, and I know I could play this because this show is no longer on the air, and everybody and their mother has posted this clip online. So it has passed, I'm allowed to play it. But yeah, Dorian, as I watched Pat McAfee and Adam Cole have their incident, all I kept thinking about was this.
It's Jim. Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here, Jim. Thank you.
Check that. Chris Everett. Good to have you on the show.
You know what? You've been calling me that for about the last 5 years.
About 2 years, actually, Chris.
I got to set this up a little bit. That's former NFL great Jim Everett, quarterback. Chris Everett used to be a female tennis superstar. Jim Rome, who is an asshole at times, used to always make fun of Jim Everett by saying you're more like Chris Everett than Jim Everett. Now, the funny thing is, if Jim Rome did that in 2020, he'd be labeled as sexist, because what are you saying, that a female is less superior? But anyway, that basically is it. So Jim Rome has been calling Jim Everett at this time for years Chris Everett. So they finally have this confrontation. And by the way, what you're about to see was 100% real.
Thank you.
Check that. Chris Everett. Good to have you on the show.
You know what? You've been calling me that for about the last 5 years.
About 2 years, actually, Chris.
Well,
somewhere along the way, Jim, you ceased being Jim and you became Chris.
Well, let me tell you a little secret. That, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a station break, you can. But if you call me Chris Everett to my face one more time...
I already did it twice.
You call it one more time, we better take a station break.
Well, it's a 5-minute segment, or a 5-segment show. We got a long way to go.
Well, we do.
We got a long way to go.
We do.
I'll get a couple segments out of you.
Well, it's good to be here with you, though.
Well, it's good to see you,
because
too.
you've been talking like this behind my back for a long time.
But now I said it right here.
Right, exactly.
Well, we got no problems then.
I think that you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Chris?
For those that don't know, that was 100% real. That was 100% real. Unfortunately, though, everybody, this is just my opinion. I'm not buying Pat McAfee and Adam Cole as being real. I think this was staged. I think this was to create a little bit of a buzz online. If you go back and you watch it, I'm not going to do it right now, but I have Heil PR40 mics, I have Electro Voice, and I have other equipment, and I've dropped them, and I've dropped them pretty hard sometimes. Adam Cole didn't pick up the microphone and smash it on the ground. Didn't look like anything was broken. No headset looked like it was broken. Sorry, if that producer guy got injured from just being shoved back, you should fire that producer. I'm not buying it. I'm not believing it. It's probably or could be real. I'm just sorry. When Pat McAfee goes over the top and says he broke a microphone, he broke a headset, he hurt, to me, that's where I'm like, okay, not buying it. Not buying it. To me, it felt like trying to recreate Jim Everett and Jim Rome. I know it's been 20 some odd years, 26 years. So, but I'm not feeling it. So I just, you go, look, if you've not watched it yet, go watch the clip and you be the judge and you tell me if it looked real to you. To me, it did not look real at all. I don't know where this leads. I don't know. I don't know. I will say this. I know they didn't really get along in the past. But if you watch the whole clip, I don't know. I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. It just felt way too... Let me put it this way. For Adam Cole to go to the guy's house and do the show and do everything, Pat McAfee would have been the ultimate asshole to basically, set this guy up like that. Like, the guy's coming to your house, he's doing your show, and you basically throw shade on this guy, like really strong, brutal shade. You're no Shawn Michaels, you're not in his league, you're short, this smalls, whatever it is. It just felt way too forced by Pat McAfee. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but we'll see. We'll see what more comes out of it, but I think this was just to create a buzz, in my opinion. Thank you, Joe Punches. Spreading love. Hoping we get Fiend versus Willow. You know what? I wouldn't mind something like that. Man, they could, WWE does all these cinematic matches. You could do something with Jeff Hardy. I just don't know if we ever lead to Jeff Hardy versus The Fiend. I think a cinematic match, it would definitely work well. I think a lot of people would be they'd feel a little bit of a void that Matt Hardy wouldn't be part of this as well. But man, there's so much history in the life of Jeff Hardy. And not as long as Bray Wyatt, but man, you could do some very creative stuff if those two guys were to, go at it. So never say never, but I want to know who Jeff Hardy's next feud is. That's what I want to know. I haven't stopped to think about it yet, but and when is Elias coming back? I have to get an update on Elias for all of you out there. So we have some more news to get into. Before we do that, I want to stop for a couple of minutes and let's have some fun reminiscing a little bit of wrestling history. Now, I promise you, and I need your feedback, everybody, on this episode on YouTube, please, if you have a minute, just post a little feedback. Tell me if you liked how I handled the history part this week, because it is going to be a little bit different than the last couple of weeks. It's much more condensed. Let me know if you enjoyed this like this, because like I said, we can't go 3 hours anymore. And not everybody's into history. My thinking is, again, put a little collage on the screen for everybody to see, and take some of the bigger points, not necessarily big news every time, but maybe little skits here and there that you may have totally forgot about, and put the collage online, and then we just focus on that collage. Of course, there's other things that went down this week in history that's not going to make the cut, but we're only going to focus on the collage. If you want to search further, other things in history, by all means, go check out the history shows I did last year and the year before. There's tons of stuff there with all the audio clips. They're still online. Oh yeah, Danielson, I know. Bob O'Mac, Your Best Bargains LLC. He's a good friend of the family. He reviewed my bobblehead. So if anybody out there wants to see a funny review of my bobblehead on YouTube, just type on YouTube Don Tony bobblehead and check out the review. It's actually pretty well done. And I sent him a bobblehead, and he reviewed it. I loved it. So, yeah, you're going to get this. It's all ceramic. So, anyway, so let me know what you think about this week's history. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the collage on the screen, and I'm going to go from left to right, everything that you see on the screen. And if you want to, go check out the clips to see a little bit further. I think you'll really get a kick out of it. Some of what I show you, I think it's going to blow some people away, how many years have gone by since some of this stuff went down. But let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Going from left to right. On the top left, we have sensational Sherry Martel. It was everything that you see happen this week in history. 1987, Sherry Martel made her WWF debut. I know some of you are going to say, wait a minute, she wrestled for the WWF in 1982. Well, technically, that was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. But she made her WWF debut as a part of the roster under contract this week in 1987. In her debut, she beat the Fabulous Moolah to win the WWF Women's Championship. Funny thing about this match is Sherry was kind of a heel in this match, and Moolah we already knew was a heel. Do you know, if you want to go on YouTube and watch this match, as you watch it, just keep in mind that Fabulous Moolah in this match in 1987 was 64 years old. Next, Jim Cornette. It was this week in 1993. Jim Cornette made his WWF debut on Monday Night Raw. We had the Heavenly Bodies make their debut, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey. And he would also be the American spokesperson for Yokozuna. It was this week in 2015, John Cena had that infamous match on Raw against Seth Rollins. John Cena beat Seth Rollins by submission to retain the United States Championship. But as you could see, John Cena's nose was just totally smashed up, shambles, displaced. His nose was a mess. I wanted to put a close-up a little bit further, but, this will do. But, yeah, it's already been that many years, everybody. See the bottom, Fozzy. This week in 2005, we were supposed to get on Raw, Battle of the Bands. It was supposed to be John Cena doing his rap, I think, Bad Bad Man. Chris Jericho was supposed to perform with Fozzy. We got John Cena's performance, but Chris Jericho after refused to perform. And that was something that I really looked forward to that night. It was 15 years ago this week, believe it or not. Next, we have Miss Elizabeth. This week in 85, she made a WWF debut. You remember the storyline, Macho Man Randy Savage was the focus of a lot of managers, Mr. Fuji, Luscious Johnny Valiant, Bobby Heenan, Freddie Blassie, and Jimmy Hart. And we all thought that Macho Man was going to make a decision and choose one of them. And instead, he brought out Miss Elizabeth. And I remember Vince McMahon gushing over Miss Elizabeth. And why not? 2000, you see Lance Storm with 3 belts in hand. It was this week in 2000 on Nitro that Lance Storm beat Big Vito in a title versus title match to win the WCW Hardcore title. So he would have the Hardcore title, United States Championship, and the other championship is escaping me at the moment. But 1998, fully loaded pay-per-view for WWF, the In Your House. We had Sable beat Jackie in a bikini contest, but the decision would be reversed the next night on Raw because Sable, well, actually, let me rephrase it a little bit. Sable beat Jacqueline on Fully Loaded. She won the bikini contest, and the hands that you see, those infamous hands, that's what she wore at Fully Loaded. The next night on Raw, they reversed the decision and gave it back to Jacqueline because that's not considered a bikini. That's probably the better way to describe it. So, yeah, if you've never seen it, there you go. This week in 2009, it's already been 11 years, Shaq guest hosted Monday Night Raw, and he had that little confrontation with Chris Jericho, if you remember. Next on the list was this week in 2007, one of the dumbest signings, in my opinion, in the history of pro wrestling. TNA signed Adam Pac-Man Jones. Guy couldn't wrestle. He was still part of the Tennessee Titans, the NFL, and they not only had him on contract, but they had him win the tag titles with Ron the Truth Killings. 2009, Night of Champions in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jeff Hardy beats CM Punk to win the World Heavyweight Championship. We remember how short Jeff Hardy's title reign would be. Next, you have 2012. Believe it or not, everyone, it's been that long. It was this week in 2012. Seth Rollins beat Jinder Mahal in a tournament final to become the first ever NXT champion. 2011, we had the return of CM Punk. You remember he won the championship, walked out of WWE. They did that tournament. Rey Mysterio had beat The Miz in a tournament final to win the vacated title. Then we had the controversy because John Cena, would take on Rey Mysterio, win the championship, and then CM Punk's music hit, and we go off the air with CM Punk with his belt in the air, John Cena's belt in the air, and they would both battle it out. Was it SummerSlam? To unify the championship. I know you really can't see it all that much, probably the right way. Pretty funny he's not wearing a mask, but it was this week in 2002 that Low-Ki beat Spanky, Christopher Daniels, and Douglas Williams in a four-way 60-minute Iron Man match to become the first ever Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. 2016, Sasha Banks beat Charlotte to win the Raw Women's Championship. Same night, Nia Jax made her debut on the main roster. Same night, Finn Balor made his main roster debut, and he beat Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Rusev in a fatal four-way match. And probably the match everybody always talks about to this day, maybe not so much because of the allegations against him. It was the same night that James Ellsworth came out to take on Braun Strowman. Anyone with two hands has a chance. That's why I chose that picture over the others. See Mike Adamle with Batista and John Cena. It was this week in 2008 that Mike Adamle was named the general manager of Monday Night Raw. We already talked about Punk versus Cena. If you go down a little bit, you see The Rock and Ric Flair. It was this week in 2002 that The Rock took on Ric Flair on Monday Night Raw, beat him, only time in their careers The Rock ever took on Ric Flair. One and only time. Happened this week in 2002. Hope you're enjoying this. We're almost done. 1996. The NWO had just formed. We talked about it, I think, 2 weeks ago. It was this week in 1996 that we got the first ever paid announcement. Remember, the following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order. The first one just went on and on. The segment was like 2 minutes, maybe longer. And, after a while, they would just be like, buy the shirt, buy the shirt. But that happened this week, 1996. This week in 1998, WWF tapes the premiere episode, the first ever episode of Sunday Night Heat. This technically was Shane McMahon's debut on WWE television, WWF television. I know some of you are going to say he was a referee, but Shane McMahon made his debut commentating with Kevin Kelly for Sunday Night Heat. And I have said this before. Shane McMahon, I thought, did an awesome job commentating and not having any history of doing it. This week in 1998, Sunday Night Heat debuts. And in case you're curious what the matches were that night, Edge over Jeff Jarrett, Darren Drozdorf and the Headbangers over Kai and Tai, D'Lo Brown over Ken Shamrock to retain the European Championship. In the main event for the first ever Sunday Night Heat, the Nation of Owen Hart and The Rock defeated Kane and Mankind in a number one contenders match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. 2008, Diamond Dallas Page and Jay-Z come to a settlement. You might remember in 2005, Diamond Dallas Page sued Jay-Z for using the DDP logo. They settled it this week in 2008. This week in 2009, Hulk Hogan and Linda Bollea, Terry and Linda Bollea, they finalized their divorce. I know what you're saying to me right now. Wait a minute. That screenshot is not about their divorce. Well, this week was not very good for Hulk Hogan. Not only was this week in 2009, his divorce was final, and Linda got about 70% of everything, but it was also this week in 2015. Hulk Hogan was fired from the WWE, and it leaked out on the National Enquirer and online that Hulk Hogan went on a racist rant, got recorded. This was all about, his daughter Brooke And that music producer, I can't remember his name right now, but I'm not going to repeat the things that Hulk Hogan said, but it was this week in 2015, it's been 5 years, everyone, that he got busted, he got fired, and he made that apology to People magazine, went on TV, and a lot of us at the time thought that he was crying and apologetic, not because of what he said, but because he got caught. I think Hulk Hogan has learned since then, but still major controversy, and Hulk Hogan, in my opinion, has never fully recovered. It was this week in 2000 on SmackDown, we had the infamous segment where Triple H was showing Trish Stratus some moves in the dressing room, and Stephanie walks in, and Trish and Triple H look like, yeah. If you've never seen that segment, go watch it. That was comedy gold at that time. That, you know, a lot of us was sick of Triple H at that time, but this shit was pretty damn funny. Next, unfortunately, we had the Great American Bash, and this was the swan song from Muhammad Hassan. After all the controversy, him being pulled off of TV, UPN refusing to have him on, and all that negative press, they had the #1 contenders match, and it was The Undertaker to not only come out on top, but, you know, they played off that Muhammad Hassan, he died. He was killed. And finally, this week in 1995, I almost played the promo just for the scratching on the chalkboard. But it was this week in 1995 that the first ever Dean Douglas promo, Shane Douglas as Dean Douglas, appeared on WWE television. So that is your collage, your condensed episode, or just flashback to memory lane. Only about, 10 minutes? So I definitely want your feedback. Did you like this condensed version with the collage? Because, you know, like I said, we got to cut down on time, obviously. But I thought this was a nice representation of not only what went down in this week in history, but a lot of moments that you might actually go out of your way to check out. So let me know, because, I put this together and I thought it would allow us to have a little time. We still got 12 minutes. So I definitely want to talk about a few other things. Let's see. What can we talk about? AEW Dark, they announced 12 matches for this Tuesday. Now, because I do the DTKC show on Monday, I don't have to get into the preview today. So I'll give you the match listing on Tuesday, but 12 matches, a lot of matches. Sammy Guevara obviously is back, and he performs for AEW Dark as well. Again, Darby Allin, things are a little bit up in the air right now as far as his condition. And I got a kick out of, I don't know who made this, but I had 3 different people send this to me. This is pretty much what AEW did in the ratings this week to NXT. And this was the segment I was talking about Wednesday with, man, they have really screwed up Lance Archer for the last month. This was a nice way to just bring back his scariness, and this needs to continue. He needs to not only still beat the fuck out of people, but he's got to call somebody in particular out. I don't know if it should be Mox. I'm not sure. But, man, I thought that segment on Wednesday with Archer was awesome. And, yeah, that's kind of a good representation of the ratings this week. Again, look, I don't put the NXT rating at the fault of Karrion Kross or Dijakovic or anything else. It's just the problem is, NXT, unfortunately, they don't hype a lot of things in advance. And there's some people that they insist on putting on television that are just not connecting with the fans. It's very hard for them to, basically, to monitor that when you don't have live fans in attendance. But, look, I know a lot of you out there, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to save this for Monday. I know Taz and JR gave a lot of criticism for NXT and basically said DVR NXT, we're a hell of a lot better. And they said a couple other things as well. I don't want to confuse anybody, because some of you out there may have a hard time, like, knowing some of the words. When he said that WWE is arrogant and omnipotent, omnipotent, not omnipotent, it's omnipotent. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's like WWE thinks they're almighty, that they're the only game in town, that they're God. And honestly, I saw people angry at Taz and JR. One of them being my co-host on Mondays. So I take totally different stance on this. They work for AEW. They're proud of their company. They're proud of their work. They're proud of how they handle COVID. They're proud of the writing. They're proud of everybody working hard. They're proud that their company, it feels like a family. So I have no problem with Taz or JR being cheerleaders for AEW. They don't like NXT. You know what's funny? And I'm curious how I say this Monday, because I don't want to start shit with anybody. But isn't it funny that people out there, especially on social media, that don't like AEW, will spend all night, Wednesday night, writing one-liners and insults about AEW. But yet, here we have Taz and JR do it about NXT, and all of these same instigators are triggered. They're angry. They do the very same thing. And the funny thing is that Taz and JR work for AEW. These people on social media don't work for NXT. They will spend all night long on Wednesday throwing nasty shots over and over towards AEW. And they don't even work for NXT. But yet, you have two people who work for AEW supporting their own product and saying you should enjoy us, DVR them. And these people get offended. Offended. Am I exaggerating? So I'm going to have a friendly debate with my co-host on Monday, because he is totally against what JR and Taz said. I personally thought there was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Cheerleading their own company, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Impact Wrestling this Tuesday. Gallows and Anderson will be wrestling. They're taking on Reno Scum. Deonna Purrazzo will be taking on Kimberly. Rich Swann will be doing an interview. Eddie Edwards is going to take on Trey for the Impact Championship. And they're also doing something called Wrestle House. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know if this is like a low-budget version of Legends House, but they teased that Impact Wrestling, look, they're making a little bit of a move. We already talked about all the signings that they did. The contracts are not as tight as other company contracts, but so what? We're in the middle of COVID right now. Do you really expect Impact Wrestling to say, no, we're going to sign you an exclusive deal. You can only work for us and no one else right now? Man, these wrestlers aren't going to say, okay, well, because it's COVID, I'm only going to charge you, sign me for a contract for $100 or $1,000 or $5,000. Chad, I know you're saying about poking the bear and this and that, but, when you're dominating in the ratings on Wednesday night, I think you have a little right to be proud. And just think about this. They hit ratings pre-COVID. If COVID never hit, makes you wonder where these storylines would have went. If you remember, we thought Hangman Page was going to turn. It was supposed to have that double K, whatever that meant. There's a lot of things that would have happened that didn't happen. I'm a wrestling fan, number one. I support AEW, WWE, NXT, Ring of Honor, MLW, New Japan, GCW. I go down the line. Impact Wrestling, I support them all now. So, I want to see everybody do well. It's kind of like what Brody Lee said yesterday. He said, he said something like, I got into the business for the ratings. It's some people out there spend too much time talking about ratings when they don't even work for the companies. They don't work in advertising. I don't even think any of them work. So you really should not be telling other people how they should be running their business. But I will say this, when Dave Meltzer makes a statement about the ratings, and he says, like, you know, he tries to say that 18 to 49 represents the present, 50 and above represent the past, 12 to and whatever is the future, or you know what I mean, something like that. I think every person that has eyes on your product is a potential paying customer, and you cannot make certain demographics feel secondary, because that's when people decide to take their money elsewhere. No, who's that? I do not think AEW and Impact Wrestling should merge. There is no reason for that to happen. I think maybe Impact, maybe MLW or Ring of Honor or something like that. I'm not saying that those three should merge, but I would not be surprised if you saw those companies work out some deals. We'll see what happens. But Anthony Diaz, he was 12 years old, you know, with the nip slip, Jackie and Sable. Yeah, those are memories. By the way, for those who are on Patreon, you remember 2 weeks ago, Mish and I, one of the questions that was asked to me, who I thought would be a good member of the Riott Squad if we brought the Riott Squad back, since Sarah Logan is pregnant and not coming back, and I said Shotzi Blackheart. Well, just coincidentally, this picture came out online. I think my idea of Shotzi Blackheart teaming up with Ruby Riott looks pretty damn good. If you see them next to each other, I think they actually could be a pretty damn good tag team. So I figured I'd just share that with all of you. So we're about to finish for tonight. Have no fear, everyone. I will be back on Patreon Sunday afternoon with Mish. We will have breakfast soup, as always, 2-3 hours minimum. You know that. If you're around on Discord Saturday night, I say around 10 p.m., we're going to be gaming. So if you haven't been around and, you know, you just want to lurk, you playing. We do the Jackbox gaming. It is some of the funniest shit, and you have to have thick skin, because we make fun of each other. Mish is there, I'm there. I'm telling you, pass by our Discord. I always have links online, and join us on Jackbox. I think you'll absolutely love it. And Joey Ryan, Mortalica, you know, look, I only have 2 minutes left, but I'll say this about Joey Ryan. Simply put, I invite anyone out there to go look up Ron Jeremy and the sexual allegations against him. And you look up Joey Ryan. And Joey Ryan, I kind of touched on this Wednesday a little bit, but Joey Ryan, you got to give credit to Ryan Satin, because Ryan Satin went through every explanation that Joey Ryan made in that hour-long video. And the thing about it is, you know, he talks about how he was friends with someone, and, you know, some cases they just wanted to make out, and one thing led to another, you know, and you know what? I'm gonna get into this Monday, because I'm not gonna have the video fuck up like last week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jet out of here now. I will get into it Monday with Kev. It'll be a nice discussion to have. We'll talk about Joey Ryan, and I'll bring up Ron Jeremy, and I'll go step by step. But again, I think what this goes down to, you know what, Benjamin? Joey Ryan is not on the radar for a lot of people out there. So waiting 48 hours, 72 hours talking about Joey Ryan is not a big deal. But I'll say this. I think at the end of the day, Joey Ryan is not a sexual abuser. But Joey Ryan used his divorce and used his friendship to get the comfort level of a lot of females he was friends with. And I think his ultimate goal was to get laid all the time. And I think when all of these women saw their fellow, you know, wrestlers all coming out with the same scenario about Joey Ryan, I think they all felt that they were being bullshitted. And I think that's why they're so angry. So with that said, I am outie. Talk to you all later. Much love. Ciao.